My brothers and sisters in Christ, I like today's readings, and that the first reading in the continuous reading of the story of Elijah gives us an account of a politician at his worst. An innocent man dies just out of a desire for sheer profit and gain at the hands of Jezebel. And so we get, if you will, a recording of a very evil transaction. And then that sets up the gospel in which we hear about eye for an eye, tooth for tooth, or not returning evil for evil. And this is very important for us to hear at times because there's no shortage of evil out there. There's no shortage of injustice out there. But the Christian constantly has to evaluate, how do we respond to injustice? How do we respond to evil? Many don't understand that the eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth from the Old Testament and the law was never meant to be an encouragement towards, retribution or settling feuds in this way. It was actually meant to be a limiting factor. In the old days, and by old days I don't mean like 100 years ago, I mean in ancient history, it was not uncommon for blood feud to take a small matter and it would ultimately lead to death. So imagine if someone came up and bothered you, and in response you killed them. That would be so ridiculously over the top as a response, and yet it was not uncommon for this to happen. The person once wronged would then take it upon themselves to go to the extreme to punish the one who offended them. In some ways, we see this today, how even small infractions, the mob mentality, can get after people. But the Christian response is called not only to limit this, but in fact to not seek out retribution at all. Now, does that mean that the way of the Christian disciple is contrary to justice? Of course not. We know that God is completely just. Nothing in him can be contrary to justice. But the mercy that we are called to show is to entrust that other people ultimately must answer to God. We are not the distributors of God's justice in this way. We are not the punisher. We are not judge, jury, and executioner. Instead, our opportunity is to show the Lord's mercy, because in fact, our prayer should always be that all sinners are converted, even those who sin against us. We don't desire for people to get theirs or get what's coming to them. We desire for all people to be converted. This was the prayer of Jesus on the cross. Father, forgive them. They know not what they do. Stephen, when he was martyred, the countless number of saints throughout history who have prayed for those even as they killed them, prayed for those that were perpetrating injustice and violence against them. We are called, it doesn't mean we're called to roll over, to play dead. It means that we are called to be constant agents of peace. And through the showing of God's mercy, our hope is that the most hardened of hearts can be converted and saved. If not, ultimately God, who is the one who is all justice and all mercy, God will ultimately deal with each according to what is appropriate. That's not our concern. And so therefore, we should give thanks for that it's not ultimately upon us to do this. So, that leads the question in society, well, should people be arrested then? Should people go to prison? And it's the difference between, a retributive justice is the main problem in our world today. The idea that justice is just about punishing the wrong. What we want to do is we want to reform the sinner, or in the case of those that must be imprisoned, sometimes it's a matter of the common good, which is someone is a threat to society, or this would be a threat. So it's either to protect people or to try to reform, to correct the person, but we're never about punishing for punishment's sake. That's not the Christian way, and frankly, not the way that helps us to grow in charity. Our role is to pray for everyone, even those who sin against us, to pray for their good and to constantly show the love and mercy of God, even in the face of unjust treatment, so that God may continue to do his work to bring hardened hearts back to him. May God bless you.